we are so happy to have you on with us today because, oh my gosh, what a movie! There's so much to discuss here. So a little time, but
Thank you.
this has got to be something obviously very personal, very special. You got to be excited to unveil this to the world because the power of the Angel Studios, and you know that there's going to be a built-in audience, which is kind of a relief, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. I think, we're so happy to partner with Angel and know that they know how to mobilize an audience, they know how to bring an audience to this film. And when Nate started this journey, I mean, it's been 13 years since he wrote the first draft of the script. So it's literally not even a marathon to describe it. It's like a double Ironman or whatever the longest race you could possibly think it has been. So it's really amazing to see us approach the finish line. And as I've only been part of this for the last 4 years, I've been hearing about this story. I went to the same high school, so I knew Mr.
Um,
Deen, and so I'm local as well. We're both from Lancaster. We're sitting here in Lancaster right now. We both are from here, live here, and it's so cool to see it all happen, like shot here, and it's really cool to see it kind of launching from here right now. So we're both like in awe today as we approach the premiere tomorrow, and just so excited to see what's next. Yeah.
Yeah, and what a story to be able to tell, to live to tell, really. But I mean, pretty much most of that is true, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I literally wrote it from beginning to end in chronological order, just to get it on paper, which is really really hard because I knew I was putting out some of the worst parts of me as a young person to the world to see. But that's an important part. I think the world needs to see that it's okay. We make mistakes, right? We can make mistakes, but we can also recover from those and move forward in a positive light. Um, and yeah, so long journey, but such a great message to get out. And I'm so excited. Like I can't even,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like, yeah, words don't say enough. I'm so excited.
That's the challenging thing about like telling a true story and putting it on screen is that, when he wrote it down and then Damian Harris, the director, calls it like a Charles Dickens novel, and it's like
Yeah.
so long and so much. And then there was been other writers that came on over the last 13 years that helped further it and brought ideas. But, certain things you're like, well, this is my life story. I'm not gonna like be a ballerina dancer or whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right.
People have ideas,
We
right?
don't want
Writers
to
have
change his
ideas.
character, too
So
much.
it's always that North Star of like preserving Stan's legacy and what meant to Nate, and making sure that it's honoring, the story and putting that forth on screen. And that's the challenge of filmmaking. And Damian Harris, along with the other writers and John Spencer and and
Did such a great job of keeping it as authentic and real as possible. It's hard to tell that story in 2 hours, without kind of cutting some corners, which you have to do. But the message and the characters are just there. You feel it, and that was what was important.
Yeah, and what a strange thing to be able to say, "Here's my life story," and then someone comes along and says, well, but maybe we can make this character this way," and just try and change the whole thing. That's got to be kind of a trip, right?
Yeah, it was, and it happened, and you just kind of go, okay, well, that's not that important to me, and I'm okay with that. But really, everyone got behind the story
Yeah.
as they got to know this town and hear more about and talk to people about Stan and this teacher who did such an incredible job of helping me out. They kind of go, you know what, we really want to honor Stan and Nate in this. And so they came on board really positive and really wanting to do this story justice.
you know,
That's so cool.
and the
Yeah.
joke in the movie, that everybody knew Mr. Dean, like that's
Yeah.
legitimate. It's not.
Right.
So, we're shooting and we're like, locations managers asking somebody, hey, can I shoot at your house? And like, oh, I had Mr. Dean as a teacher. Like, oh, okay. Oh, I knew Mr. Dean. I went to a high school performance when I was a kid. Oh, I went to this, I knew this. And oh, I'm going to invest in this film because I had Mr. Dean as a teacher and now I own a business and I'm going to, be part of this whole journey. And so, we had 47 investors do that. We had 23 locations across our area with a lot of involvement. So people would call it like, man, I feel the energy of Stan in this thing, or
Yes.
I feel the spirit of Stan, or I feel like because we would interact with people all the time that knew him, and they're like, this is real. Like, this is not just a written story that is kind of a sensationalized version of this character. This guy actually walked walked the streets and the halls of Lancaster.
It's an authentic story because of that. We were able to
Yeah.
do that, and it feels real. It
Yeah.
feels, and it is. So
Yeah, that's so cool. And the interesting thing is that I guess the behind the scenes story about all this was also going to be inspirational to people, just about, telling your story and getting it out there because it's important to you. So what advice do each of you have to somebody that wants to tell their story and get it out there?
yeah, everyone has a story. Everyone has something, and some are darker than others. And it actually telling your story can help the healing process. It helps for me, and it's going to be hard. But if you have a story, let's tell it so that other people can see that there's success, that there are people that can get through those hard times. When they watch Brave the Dark, they're going to see this young man, turn into a better young man who's now giving back. And that's what we want. We want people to share their stories, and we'll help them tell the stories. If you have a great story, tell us. We want to see successes. We want to hear the successes. So
I think from like a producing standpoint as well, it's like never give up, because it's almost like Nate, the last 13 years has experienced Brave the Dark Part 2 in a way, because it's not easy. Independent filmmaking is not for the faint of heart. And when you're also telling your own personal story, it's hard because you're going to get those comments like, this is not believable, or like, like this needs to be more interesting this way. And you're going to get, if it's a true story on your life, you're going to get all that feedback, and just to not give up and to keep fighting if you believe that you need to tell it. And that's what Nate did, and he was resilient through it. And that's what you have to do if you want to tell your story.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what my co-host Drew Pearson, one of our great Dallas Cowboys, he caught the Hail Mary. We like to call that a Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career you just had to go for it. So is this it, or was there another Hail Mary moment you're each thinking of?
I would like to talk about the Eagles, though, if we could.
Yeah, we really, they're important right now.
We have a playoff game on Sunday. Cowboys. Anyway, sorry. It's fine.
Hey, it's all right. I grew up in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. I guess.
Oh, nice. Well, the prison was shot in Doylestown, by the way.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
That was one of the only scenes that was outside Lancaster County. They had a kind of a whole wing of the prison that wasn't being used, and with COVID restrictions and everything, we couldn't shoot locally here. But yeah, I guess there was some pretty big moments throughout this journey, right? That were these Hail Mary moments, and I think you just have to shoot it and go for it, and then when you get rejection after rejection,
you just keep going.
Yeah,
that's the story. You just got to keep pushing and making phone calls and getting with someone, another writer, whatever it takes to get this story out.
You want. I think you never want to have to restart momentum. You want to keep
keep it moving
going forward. And like every day, our goal, especially when in distribution too, with the independent film world right now, the way that it is, it's like you want to keep momentum going one person at a time, and finding until you find the right home for your film. And it's the same way with Nate's. Like, there was stretches I wasn't part of for years that he just kept momentum going, new drafts of the script, or working with another producer, or finding, miraculously getting it in the hands of Damian Harris, and then Jared reading it. And like that was probably a big Hail Mary.
That was a very
Damian read it, and then Jared got his hands on it with Damian, and Damian, was able to help convince Jared, not challengingly, but just was able to show him the script, and they agreed to do it. That was probably the biggest moment of the film.
And that was awesome. Yeah, and I found out at the Cannes Film Festival. I got an invite there, and they announced it. It was just so cool to hear that, this actor who I've watched everything he's ever done, and now he's going to do our film. Really? Like, how is this possible?
And as dominoes fall, then Damien got Nicholas Hamilton, and then Julio, the cinematographer who shot Home Alone, and we just dominoes fell, and then the financial side started to come, and investors here, and 47 different investors in their community. It just it was a momentum thing that started. It was cool.
Yeah, and also what a trip to be able to meet someone that's playing you, right?
Right, right, yeah, Nick. Yeah.
But he did a fantastic job. The only thing missing was that sweet mullet that you had.
Yes, right? Yeah, well, we tried, but you don't want to make fun of that time period either, because
Oh
the
yeah,
people
yeah.
see it, it could be because it's such a serious moment too. It's
Oh yeah,
like, you know what? And Nick felt comfortable and I think that's what it kind of took.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things you go, I'm okay with that.
yeah,
I will have the best mullet ever,
yeah. Well, you got a good-looking kid to play you, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
perfect. A great actor too. And
Yes, he
now,
did.
part of in this journey is that success mindset. We talk about this on the show that you have to not only get in it but stay in it. Is there something that you tell yourself, or is it your faith, or what was it that kind of kept you going through all this?
For me, it was Stan and just his memory and his legacy. Um, times would get tough, and I'd be like, okay, this is what Stan would be telling me right
Yeah.
now. And you just push through it and push through it. And I've had so many of those moments through this process. And there were times when it was like, you just got to keep moving. This is good. Like, this is a good thing. Like, I can almost hear him. And so I use Stan quite a bit in all the things, remembering all those wonderful moments that he told me that we ended up writing down but never made it in the script. But I use those as like inspiration to just keep moving forward. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and for me, I have a lot of faith too. My faith journeys, we both do, and Stan did too. Helped us get through all this. And I think the outcome, you have to imagine that the outcome is possible before it actually becomes reality. And I think Nate writing it down on a script format and not in a book format was the beginning of that. Like, this will be a movie,
Yeah.
and then we will get some other producers from this company Inspiring Films and said, we are going to find somebody. And Nate was like, we got to find someone that's awesome that can play Stan well, and then someone to direct this and do that. Like, you have to imagine that it's possible. If you start imagining and thinking, no, it's not going to happen, then it's never going to happen. Like, if I can't believe it myself, then why should anybody else believe it? And I think there's that. I love that you speak of that too. It's like, it's overused now, the power of manifestation. That word is used too much. But I think the reason why it actually is true is because your actions will dictate what you think. And if you don't believe it true, your actions won't support that. And I got on a train 4 years ago that was moving, and we just had to keep up and hope you don't fall off. And it's like,
Yeah.
Early on, we knew it was going to be a movie, whether it was a small time budget, maybe a short film, whatever. We knew it was going to be something. But to be where we are, I can't say, oh yeah, this is going to be as big as it is. It's very humbling to know that
it really is.
the journey is close. We're so close to getting there. We know it's going to get there now, and it's exciting.
That's beautiful. Well, last thing then, I know there's a lot that people can get out of this, and depending on what they've been through, depending on people they know, they may get something totally different out of it. But what do each of you hope that people will take away from this?
Yeah, for me is that they're just inspired by the message of hope. That there is hope. I mean, hope is that word that just, sadly in the times that we're in, there are a lot of people that don't feel there's hope or much hope in their life. And for just really wanting to help people through what they're going through.
Yeah, never give up that hope. That's a huge takeaway. And then the other takeaway is, if you are like Mr. Deen, to never forget about that kid, or never, it doesn't have to be a kid, it can be your neighbor, or it could be someone in need, to never lose sight that there's people around us in need. And we can be busy with our jobs, busy with our work, all the things, or family, whatever it is, the drama in our lives. And, never forget about the neighbor, about the kid in the back, or whoever is not talking. It's like, we all have our journeys. That's the thing, this movie kind of unwraps like what Nate went through, and Mr. Deen had no clue in the beginning what he was dealing with. and I don't have any clue what you went through, or what anybody else does, unless we take the time to help. And that's the message.
Yeah, so well said. Well, congratulations on the film. So glad you're finally
Thank
getting
you.
it out, and I know it's going to touch a lot of people. And so excited for you guys for the premiere, and look forward to talking to both of you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Awesome. Thank
Really
you.
great to be on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Go